Hey traders, hope everybody's having a good weekend and had a profitable week trading this week. I think this is one of my best weeks ever trading. I had a profit of $6,254 this week. Now some of that came from some short-term spreads trades that I did in SPX and Tesla, but that only equated to about $1,800 of the profit. So I still would have made over $4,000 in profit if I would have just been selling puts for this week. So even if you couldn't jump into those shorter term spreads, you should still have had a pretty decent profit this week if you were able to get into any of these puts that I sold. So I will recap my trades for this week, and then we'll also look at the entire month of August since the August expirations ended this week. And then at the end, I'll show you guys kind of a preview of my website and what I'm going to be offering as far as subscriptions and things like that. Okay, so let's start with the first trade. I opened Etsy on 8/21 of last week. That was the only trade that I had added last Friday. I sold the 123 strike for this week's expiration. I got a credit of $1.09, and I ended up having to roll Etsy on Friday. I rolled it down to the 119 strike, so that was a really good roll to get it down 4 strikes for next week, and I got a 17-cent credit, so still got a nice credit for the roll. I only did 5 contracts on Etsy, and you can see that if I would have closed Etsy out on Friday and just taken the loss, I would have lost $945 at the time when I rolled it. And then at the end of the day, based on the closing price, I would have actually lost $1,080 if I were to close it right now based on the price it closed at Friday. But again, I rolled it and I'll stick with it so that I don't have to realize these losses. The next trade was Tesla. So on 8/24, I sold the 1850, 1840 put credit spread. I received a credit of 2.07. I closed it for 0.45, a profit of 1.62. I only did 4 contracts, but that was a $648 profit within 2 days. And then the same day, I sold a put in Square for the 146 strike. For this week's expiration, I received a credit of 1.48. I closed it for 0.21 2 days later, profit of 1.27. Again, this was only 4 contracts, and I received a profit of $508. Peloton on 8/26, I sold the 66 put for this week. I received a credit of 0.7. I closed it a day later for 0.09. Profit of 0.61. I did 8 contracts, so a total profit of $488. I had someone email me asking me what prompted me to put on this Peloton trade. And so I was looking for a new trade to add, and I was going through my watch list and looking at the chart. And so this is the chart in Peloton. And so really what I was looking at was a couple things here. One, it's in a nice uptrend, especially from the recent earnings. You can see this red line is kind of the upward trend line. But what I looked at, so I got in on this green candle here on 8/26, but the day before, you can see we had the doji candle. So we had the big drop down, and then we had the doji. So that's typically a bullish pattern, and that you're expecting a reversal. It's kind of like a bullish doji star pattern. Typically that pattern, you would have more red candles like you see here coming down. But usually the bullish doji star pattern is when you have a few red candles, and then you have one long red candle, and then you have your doji candle, and then you see a reversal after that. So I was kind of looking at that pattern, also the fact that it was an uptrend, and that doji candle bounced pretty much off of the trend line. And then I knew that if for some reason this did fail, that we also had the 50-day moving average at around 64. That worst case, because I sold the 66 strike, so worst case if it dropped to 64, that wouldn't be too bad of a drop for me to be able to roll this and stay with the position. So that's really what prompted it. I had no idea it would take off as quickly as it did, because the next day after I got in, this candle you see here is where I was able to get out for a nice profit. So that's what I was looking at. Again, I don't necessarily do a lot of technical analysis, but when I am putting on a new trade or looking for a new trade, once I find a trade that's going to pay the premium I'm looking for relative to the margin requirement, then I'll look at some technicals to just get a rough idea of where I think the stock may move. But I'm not too hung up on that because, again, I know that I can roll. I mean, I don't want to get into it if I think it's going to take a big drop or if it's in a big downtrend, but I'm okay getting into a stock like this, realizing that even if it drops 2 or 3 points, that I'll be okay and be able to roll that position. Okay, Chewy, also on 8/26, I sold the 58 strike for this week. I got a credit of 0.98. I was able to close this out on Friday for a penny. Overall credit of 0.97. I did 6 contracts. So that was $582 of profit in 2 days. On 8/28, I did another trade in Tesla. This was a 0 DTE because it was Friday when I put the trade on, expiring Friday. So I sold the 2300, 2350 call credit spread. I got a net credit of 7.71. run and ended up closing it for 0.99. Overall profit for that was $672. I did one contract. That was about a 4-hour hold. And then also on 8/28 around the same time, I sold a call credit spread in SPX. I did the 35.10, 35.15 call credit spread. I received a credit of 0.6 and was able to close it out right at the end of the day for 0.05. Did 10 contracts. That gave me an overall profit of $550. I was really sweating this trade out because it got pretty close to my short strike price. If we take a look at the chart, so this is the 5-minute chart on SPX for Friday. So you can see this red line, the start of this red line is where I put the trade on. I put it on around 11:15 that morning, or actually it says 11:19 that morning. And so you can see I was in pretty good shape for most of the day. And then as we got closer to the close, you can see it started getting really close to my strike price and almost tested it. It got as high as 3509.23. So I was kind of sweating it there, but I just wrote it out and then I was able to hold it right until the market closed, and I closed it for 0.05. I probably could have just let it expire, but I went ahead and had my order sitting there for 0.05 and it filled right before the market closed. If you remember my recap video last week when I was talking about one of my Tesla spreads, I mentioned that my broker would not typically allow me to hold a spread to market close, especially if it was close to my short strike. They would call me to close it out, or they would force close it at some point if I did not do that. And the reason why I was able to hold this all the way to market close is SPX is cash settled. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but what cash settle means is that you would not be assigned stock if it moved in the money. Your account would just be deducted by the amount it was in the money. And the reason for that is SPX is an index and you can't actually buy SPX. If I go to the trade tab and for SPX, if I click on the ask, it's going to give me an error message saying that instrument SPX is not tradable. So that's actually why it can't be exercised, because there's no instrument to exercise to you. So what they do is they cash settle it. If we go back and look at my trade, let's say that it did move in the money. So my short strike was at 35.10. Let's say that it went to 35.12. It would be 2 points in the money. I had 10 contracts, so what they would do is they would deduct my account by $2,000. Instead of normally, if this was a stock, that option would be exercised, and since it's a call, I would be short those shares. But again, since it's SPX, I don't have to worry about that. So my broker knows that there's no risk of assignment, that it's all cash settled. They don't have to worry about, me getting assigned SPX at a price of $3,510 for 1,000 shares, which would be, I'd be short like 3.5 million worth of SPX. But since it's cash settled, they're okay with me holding it until the very end. So a lot of people who day trade or who do these 0 DTE trades will typically do it in SPX because they know they don't have to worry about that assignment. So that's just something to be aware of if you didn't realize that. That's why I do trade SPX on occasion for that very reason. Okay, the rest of these were rolls from a previous week. So you can see SLV, I put this trade on 8/17. I rolled it on 8/21, or I kept it at the same strike price, and I was able to close it out this week for 0.04 and gave me a total profit of 1.14. So initially I got a credit of 0.56. When I rolled it, I got another credit of 0.62. It was a big credit, again, because I kept it at the same strike price. And at the time, SLV was pretty much at the strike price when I rolled it, because I could have closed it. If we look back, you can see that if I didn't roll that initially, I could have actually closed it for a profit of 280. But by rolling it and staying with the trade, I actually ended up making a total profit of 1,140 over that 2-week period. The next one was MU. I also put it on 8/17, rolled 8/21, and was able to close it out this Friday. When I rolled it, I kept it at the same strike because I couldn't roll it down a strike because I would not have gotten a credit if I rolled down a strike. So when I rolled it, I got an additional credit of 0.2. I was able to close it out for 0.14. So between the 2 credits plus closing it out for 0.14, I had a total profit of 0.72. That gave me $576 profit. And again, look here, if I would have closed MU out instead of rolling back on 8/21, I would have lost $1,224. But by sticking with the stock, waiting for MU to recover, I ended up making the profit of $576. Pinterest, similar situation. I got into it 8/19, rolled 8/21. For Pinterest, I was able to roll it down a strike price when I rolled to 34. Got a credit of 0.06 on that roll. So between the 2 credits and then closing it out for 0.01, I had a total profit of 0.57, which is $570 over the 2 weeks. And I would have lost $410 if I had not have rolled Pinterest. Uber's one that I had to roll for a couple weeks. I initially put this trade on 8/7. I rolled at 8/13. Then I had to roll it again 8/18. And I was finally able to close it out this week on 8/26 for a total of 13 days, trading days that I had to hold on to this. You can see on that first roll, if I would have closed it out, I would have lost $620. And then the next week when I rolled it, I would would have lost $690 if I'd have closed it then. But by sticking with the trade, when you consider all the credits received and I closed it out for 0.09, I had a total profit of 0.52 over those 3 weeks for a total profit of $520. The last trade is the SPY trade that I put on 8/10. Again, this was a hedge where I bought the 300 strike put. I bought it for $4.23. I did 7 contracts, and you can see right now I could close it out for a loss of $1,617. So this trade cost me right at $3,000 when I bought it. So I'm down a little over 50% on it right now. And that's okay, because again, the whole purpose for this was to use it as a hedge, basically protection just in case the market dropped. As long as the market keeps going up, I'm fine because I'm making all the money off of selling my puts, and this is just there for protection. So I'm fine losing this $3,000 if this ends up being worthless, but I'll keep it there again just to have that protection in case something happens over the next few weeks. So as I mentioned at the beginning, that's my total profit of $6,254 for the week. I would have lost an additional $945 if I would have closed out this Etsy trade instead of rolling. And then right now, if I were to close out all my positions, I would lose about $2,697 from the Etsy loss as well as the loss of my SPY trade. So let's take a look at the month of August. I wasn't able to put all my trades into one spreadsheet like I've done in the past for other months. The reason being is I'm out of town right now and don't have all my previous week's spreadsheets with me. So what I'm showing you here is just the totals for each week. So you can see on 8/7, I had the 3,900 profit, 8/14, 960, 8/21, the 4,961, and then this week the 6,254. That gives me a total profit for the month of August of 16,120, which is definitely my best month so far. And then I want to show you guys the 4-month breakdown since I've been doing these trade alerts. So I started these trade alerts in May. And so you can see in May, I had the $8,200 profit. In June, I had the $6,938 profit. July, the $12,821. And then August, the $16,120. Gives me a total profit of $44,079 in a 4-month period. And I get a lot of questions about my account size or what my starting balance was. So at the beginning of May, when I started doing these trade alerts, my account balance was $42,000. So I have over doubled my account in the 4 months since doing the trade alerts. So that just gives you an idea of kind of where my account stands now. This would put my account being around $86,000, but I pull out profits regularly. So my account is sitting around $70,000 right now, and I plan to pull out some more money. I like to keep it around $55,000, $60,000 for no other reason. Again, just because I like to pull out the profits so that if I do take a big hit in the market, I realize that I've already pulled out a good chunk of these profits to where I'm not really losing my entire account. So I've mentioned that in the past. That's just one of the ways I protect myself is to keep pulling out profits. I mean, at some point, I'll stop doing that because the downside to doing that is I'm never really growing my account to a 6 figures account, right? If I did not keep pulling this out, maybe my account would be well into the 6 figures. But for now, I like to generate a weekly profit. I'm doing this now to supplement my income, not so much saving for the long term, but eventually at some point I will stop pulling out as much as I do to try to let the account keep growing. Lastly, I was going to show you guys real quick the site I'm working on. It's not finished yet. I'm hoping to have this finished within the next week or two. I'm doing this all myself, so it's just really finding the time to get this done. But I want to kind of give you a preview as far as what subscriptions I'm looking at offering here in the near future. So I'm going to give a couple options. The first one's going to be what I'm calling the silver plan monthly. It'll be $15 a month, and this will be the email trade alert. So it's the same emails you guys have been getting free for the last 4 months. Once I get the site finished, I'll start charging for those emails, and it'll be $15 a month. You know, I realize there are guys out there who are so-called educators or have a trade alert service who charge well over $100 a month. I've seen one guy I think charges $300 a month to get his trade alerts, and I just think that's ridiculous. I think those guys are making their money just off of their courses and system and selling you their alerts and are probably not really profitable traders. And so, I mean, my profit comes from the market, and I enjoy teaching. As you guys hopefully have seen, you know, I'm willing to give my time for free to teach you guys how to make money in the market and provide my trades and basically be an open book with my wins and losses. And so I feel like $15 a month is pretty reasonable. I mean, that's like a Netflix subscription to continue getting the email alerts. And again, it'll be the same exact thing that I'm sending now. It'll be the email that I send out. You know, usually it's around lunchtime or toward the end of the day that I'm showing you what trades I make that day. If I do multiple trades throughout the day, I typically will send out 2 2 or 3 emails. And then I'm offering also a yearly plan just to give you some additional savings if you do feel like $15 is too much a month. If you buy it by the year, it'd be $108 for the year, and that actually breaks down to being $9 a month, which I think is pretty reasonable. And then the second plan I'm going to offer is the gold plan. So we'll have similar a monthly and a yearly. So the monthly plan is going to be $45 a month. And the main difference is this is going to be real-time trade alerts. So I know, a lot of you guys can't get into some of my trades because by the time I send out the email, it may be too late to get in. Because keep in mind, like I've mentioned before, I work a full-time job and it takes me a good 20 or 30 minutes to type up that email, to look up all the prices that I got filled at, to put into the email, to look at the margin requirement. It takes me time to type up that email. So I can't really do it when I'm busy with work because placing a trade doesn't take long for me. I can place a trade within 2 minutes. So I have the time at work to go place a trade pretty quickly, but I don't have the time to go type up an email immediately after about the trade. So usually on my lunch break, I'm typing up the email and telling you guys about all the trades that I placed earlier in the day. And then similarly, if I place a trade later in the afternoon, I try to find a time before market close to type up the email to send you guys those trades out, which may be an hour or two after the fact. There's been a couple occasions where I couldn't even get the email out until after market close, but that's been pretty rare. Usually at least to get it out before the market closes. But anyway, so I wanted to give you guys the option for real-time alerts, and what I'll use, at least in the beginning, is I'll use Discord. If you guys aren't familiar with Discord, it's an app you can download on your phone that basically will allow me to push my trade alerts to you real time. And what I will do is I'll just screenshot my trade. So I won't have to take the time to type up an email or type up anything. I can just really quickly screenshot it and paste it into Discord literally within seconds after I make my trade, and you'll get a pop-up notification on your phone showing you what the trade is. So you'll be getting these trades literally within, seconds after my trade is placed. And it's just easier for me to do that real time because like I said, I'm not having to type anything up. I can just screenshot it and paste it in Discord. And I'll end up making a video to show you guys how to use Discord and how to read my screenshots and stuff. So once I get this finalized, I'll definitely make sure you guys understand how to use the Discord app and how to interpret my screenshots. And then if I have time, I'll add some more commentary around the screenshots themselves, or maybe type out an easier to interpret text for you guys to know what the trade is. But if I'm in a rush and all I can do is screenshot, that's probably what I'll do. The other thing too is, if you're familiar with Discord, Discord allows you to have various chat rooms for the different subscribers to chat back and forth or to ask questions. So in the beginning, I'm going to look at this as strictly just a way to push my trade alerts to everyone. It's not going to be a back and forth communication. It's going to be a one-way communication. I realize some people may not like the fact, but I'm treating it kind of like it being almost like a text alert service, right? Like there's some subscriptions out there where they'll text you their trades, and it's a one-way communication. You have no way to respond back to that person. So in the beginning, I want to treat it that way, mainly because I don't have time throughout the day to respond to questions in Discord, and I wouldn't want to leave people hanging who are asking questions, because even my emails, I can't keep up with all the emails I get. So I know in a Discord fashion, there'll be a lot of questions, and I wouldn't want to have to rely on other subscribers to answer those questions because they may answer those questions incorrectly. I'd much prefer answering those questions myself. So in the beginning, I'm going to just use it as a way for me to communicate those trades to you. And then at some point, once I kind of get the hang of this thing, maybe I will open it up to allow people to actually chat with me and to have some like back and forth communication between myself and other subscribers. Also mentioning text alerts. So another option I've looked into is providing a text alert service, but it's pretty expensive. Just looking into it, I mean, it could be upwards of $1,000 or more a month, depending on how many texts you send out, how many subscribers you have. So that may be something I add to this down the road, but really it just depends upon how many people sign up, because I'm not going to spend $1,000 a month on this unless I'm generating enough to cover the cost of that. So that may be something I add on later, but in the beginning, it's just going to be Discord. The email trade alerts, I have this as optional. So I'm still going to provide the email trade alerts similar to what's in the silver package. So basically the same alerts you get today. And you may wonder, why do you need the email alerts if you're going to be getting the real-time trade alerts? The only reason I'm still going to include it, and again, I'm marking optional. If you don't want it, you can just unsubscribe from the email alerts. But in the emails, I can add additional commentary that I'm not going to be able to provide in the real-time alerts, because the real time is going to be something that I'm going to try to get to you quickly so you can see the trade. I'm not going to be able to tell you specifics about what the margin requirement is, or sometimes I'll add a couple sentences as to why I was getting in the trade in the email. I won't always have the luxury of doing that in the Discord. So if you still like that commentary and you still want to have an email to read later in the day to say, oh, I wonder why Mark put on that trade alert in the Discord earlier today, in the email, it may have some additional commentary around that trade. So I know a lot of people like having the email just because they like to see my mindset, not necessarily because they're taking the trades that I'm taking. They just want to be able to have the email to kind of understand my line of thinking. So I'm just going to still offer that as part of this package if you want it. And the last thing for this one is the VIP email address, priority response. So since I'm not going to be able to respond in Discord, or since I'm not allowing anyone to ask questions in Discord, I'm going to give everyone a separate email address, separate from the market premium trader email address that I post on my videos. There will be like a VIP email address that will take priority to all my other emails. Because I get so many emails, a lot of the times I just don't have time to respond, especially if it's a lengthy question. Usually if I can respond within like a couple minutes, if it's just a straightforward question, I'll typically respond. But if I read the email and realize it's going to take me a good 20 or 30 minutes to sit down and explain the answer to the question, I typically ignore it and then I forget about it and it just kind of gets buried in my inbox. So in this case, you know, if you guys are paying me $45 a month, I want to give you the priority that if you do email me a question, regardless of how long the question is, I still want to be able to make it a priority that I respond to you guys. So that will kind of make up for the fact, like I said, that I won't necessarily be answering questions in the Discord. So the last package is the gold plan yearly. So it's going to be the same as the monthly, but with some additional add-ons. So you still get the real-time trade alerts in Discord. You're going to get the email alerts if you still want them. You're going to get the separate email address for a priority response. But then I'm going to add in some extras because I feel like if you guys are willing to pay the $405 for the year, you're making a commitment to me for a year, and I want to make a commitment where, you know, I'm really making sure that you guys are successful and get all your questions answered. I want to provide you some additional things for taking that kind of commitment. And so one thing I'm going to give you is my watch list. So I place this at a $30 value, and actually I will sell this on my website for $30. So anyone can still buy my watch list. If you're just doing the email subscription, you don't want to pay the $405, but you want my watch list, I'm going to sell it for $30. But if you do the gold plan yearly, I'm going to give that to you for free. It'll be all the stocks that I watch, and I'll actually break it out and show you like what stocks I've traded this year, what stocks I traded last year, and even what stocks I've traded in, say, 2017, 2018. So you can kind of see the breakdown of what stocks I consistently trade. And then I'll include all the other stocks that are still on my watch list, but I don't necessarily actively trade. The second one is going to be the margin spreadsheet that I'm going to sell for $20. So again, I get a lot of people asking for that spreadsheet that I've shown in several of my videos. So I'm going to offer that for free as part of this package because I have put a lot of time into that spreadsheet, especially the updated spreadsheet that I use for some of the later videos where you can go in and do scenarios where if there's a certain percent drop, you can see how it affects your buying power and things like that. So I'm going to sell that spreadsheet for $20, but you'll get it free as part of this package. And then lastly, I'm working on a selling puts course. This will encompass everything. Probably the question I get asked the most is, how do I pick my stocks? What is my stock selection process? What indicators am I using? Am I running any kind of scanners? And those are things that I can't just easily answer in an email or even putting together a video on YouTube because I feel like it's going to take me a lot of time. It's going to be a lot of man hours for me to sit down and make a video describing all of that. And it may end up being several hours worth of information because I really haven't sat down yet and kind of outlined what all I'm going to include. But it's basically going to be all encompassing my entire strategy. I'll go over briefly how selling puts works again, even though I've covered that in other videos. But the core of this video is going to be that main question of how am I picking my stocks? What is my stock selection process? What scanners am I using, if any? What indicators am I using, if any? That's what I'm going to put in this course. And so if you buy this gold plan, I'm going to give you 50% off that course whenever it's complete. I don't have a time frame on that yet. I'm anticipating that it'll probably be at least another couple months. So maybe October, November time frame, I'll have the time to get it finished by then. So I'm looking at probably selling that course for around $300. So getting 50% off, that's going to save you $150 on that course. So I'll send you guys out like a coupon or something to get the $150 discount off of the $300 price tag. I'd appreciate any feedback if you guys think this is reasonable. Like I said, I felt like the prices were relatively inexpensive, especially, you know, my thought process around the $45 a month. Even if you have a small account and all you can do is one contract for most of my trades pay a credit of around 50 cents. And by the time I close it out, it's usually a profit of about 45 cents per contract. So even if you did one contract, you should be able to pay for the monthly fee just by doing one trade a month, the $45 a month. And of course, if you're doing more positions or more contracts, then you'll more than pay for the $45 a month. And then if you do the yearly plan, you're actually getting it for $33.75 a month. It's a 25% savings by doing the yearly plan, plus you're getting all the additional extras that total up to be $200 worth of value between the watch list, the margin spreadsheet, and the 50% off my course when I eventually complete it. So that's all I got. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll keep you guys updated once I get this site finalized. And I'll put out a more formal video explaining pretty much the same thing again, as well as giving some more specifics around the Discord, how it will work, and just show you guys some examples of how I'm going to post my trades in Discord, just so you know exactly what you're going to be getting before you sign up. Thanks.